but perhaps there's some leeway there.
Okay. I do actually have some templates from the client that he sent to me. He's locked all the styles. He thought that might work, but I still seem to have loads of trouble with them. What I might do is send them across to you to take a look. See if you've got any ideas.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it's more of an engineering problem than a typesetting problem, but yeah, I mean, I can at least work out, how they're done, and I can talk to our engineer and see if he's got any suggestions from a trial's point of view.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so yeah. So the next scenario is graphics now. So I've chosen 3 most common graphic pieces of software, and these are predominantly for print. So we have Illustrator, Photoshop, and CorelDRAW. CorelDRAW is not really that popular anymore. Adobe have really monopolised the market in the last sort of 5 to 10 years. Practically everybody uses Adobe nowadays. And these, like I say, are created for graphics. Illustrator is predominantly for graphics only, really, and it's for creating vector graphics. And vector graphics are graphics where data within the graphic is made from points and lines, basically. It also can contain text data as well, editable text data, but it can also contain vectorized text, which is text that's not a string of characters anymore. It's been converted into lines and shapes. So if it has been converted to lines and shapes, otherwise known as outlining, then it's not editable text, it's essentially a graphic. The third format that text can exist in a graphic is a bitmap, or bitmap text, which is essentially just a set of pixels. So the text has been flattened and merged into the background, and it's just a photo, basically. So with documents for print, usually the graphics are created in Illustrator and are included as links in the file in the format of either an AI file, which is the native Illustrator format. That's the native editable file that you open and edit in Illustrator, and also EPS. Now, EPS stands for Encapsulated PostScript File. It was designed originally as a file that was sent to printers. It was a way of printing graphics out of a printer, and it was the first sort of file that was established to do that. Nowadays it's almost on a par with an AI file. You can open it and edit it in Illustrator just as easily as an AI file, and you can include both now also as a graphic. Now, one thing to note about Illustrator are EPS files. As I said, text can exist in them as editable text. So if you have an InDesign file that contains a link to the Illustrator file, and then you PDF that InDesign file, all the text in the PDF will appear as editable text. So it's actually not wise to look at a PDF and establish whether it's got graphics or not. It's not conclusive evidence. You really need to get the source files to work out if it's all editable in the InDesign file or not. If it's not editable in the InDesign file, the next question is it editable in Illustrator or in EPS? Photoshop really is used mainly for photos, that's what it's designed for, but it's also used quite extensively actually to create layouts for web pages and to create graphics for web pages. There's another product by Adobe called Fireworks, which is more designed to create graphics for web, things like buttons, drop-down menu items, things like that.
So what's that called then?
Fireworks. And yeah, that's used predominantly for web, and it's more or less similar to, it's actually a cross between Photoshop and Illustrator. It's got functions of both. The advantage of Fireworks is it's specifically for web or online graphics. Illustrator's really just for print graphics, really. People use all three for all the different processes there, so it can be varied what they're used for. CorelDRAW, like I say, is, although I'm sure that CorelDRAW themselves would be happy if I said it, but CorelDRAW, it's not very popular as much as it used to be, but it is still used now and again.
Can you say any of that?
It's pretty ancient now and again. Not many suppliers seem to have it either. Do you
No,
have it?
I've got a copy of it, but yeah, I mean, I don't think I've seen the file since I started typesetting really.
Yeah.
It is 90% Illustrator, Photoshop and Fireworks these days.
Yeah.
It's worth bearing in mind then if we do get CorelDRAW files, because the high percentage of our suppliers don't have it, would you say? I mean, I know Ben's got it, so we'll go to Ben, but...
Yes, I mean, you can find out. But,
I've come across it once in 8 years.
Right,
yes,
okay.
it is.
We'll not worry too much about it.
Yeah.
It's pretty bad, really, to be honest. To be honest, I was struggling, apart from Fireworks, which I guess I should have put down, and I was struggling to find the third thing, because, you know, I don't really know of many of the softwares that are as popular as CorelDRAW, so I mean, it is literally Adobe. We'll come to framing. So yeah, so this is all about graphics really, this one. So first point then is text extraction and insertion back in again is always manual. It's not really any process to automate extraction of graphics. If you do get a lot of Illustrator files or EPS files, and the text is editable within, then there is a procedure you could do, you could try, which is to convert the EPS file or the Illustrator file to SVG. And this is like a code version of the graphic. So as long as the text is editable, that will appear in the SVG file as editable text. And the SVG file is essentially a code file which can be detagged, translated and then retagged. However, the downside is it's not very reliable. And it does work, but only if the Illustrator files are very regimented, very simple in the layout. So if you do get a bulk of Illustrator files, maybe graphics that go along with a manual, it may be an option to explore. But in my experience, it's not really worthwhile. It has been worthwhile for a couple of projects, but not many. Okay, so graphics, as you're probably aware, they're used for graphics, standalone graphics, but usually it's a graphic that's used in something else. So it would be a graphic that's embedded in a layout, in a design or FrameMaker layout, or it may be used on a website, or some of the package, some of the projects. So just to recap as well, the three formats of graphic, or text and graphic, is editable, which is just like any other editable text, it's characters, or it can be vectorized, which is a shape made of points and lines, or it can be a bitmap. Sometimes, or quite often actually, we might get projects like websites where the graphics will only be supplied as JPEG, TIFF or GIF, or possibly PNG, but essentially a bitmap, which means it's completely editable. So either, if possible, either try and get the original graphic source file that was used to create that bitmap. So either the Illustrator file, the Photoshop file, or the Fireworks editable PNG. Or the other option then is to try and edit the bitmap. So in which case it's like editing a printed piece of paper where you rub something out and type something over the top. So effectively that's what happens with bitmap graphic editing. You take that bitmap, you use the rub out the text, create new text over the top and create a new graphic. That falls down though, that process falls down when the text is overlaid on a pattern background or some sort of image where simply rubbing it out with a rubber won't work. Or at least it's very difficult to, once you've rubbed it out, to recreate that background image. In which case, the sort of fallback options would be to overlay the text with a square or something like that, and then put the text within the square like a call-out box, or look at some other way of doing it, but at that stage then we have to go back to the client and discuss what the best options they were happy with, to do it. This is, I suppose, getting quite detailed now into the process of graphics, but there you go. So I think we'll move on to this stage.